741, good morning, Jacksonville. Little WTF for you right now as
you're welcome,
we'll exchange
America.
some sports concepts and rationalization.
So I guess we've talked it out here in the break. Let's put it. I guess we really hurt Frank's feelings. Is that what happened? Call Frank right now. Call Frank on the phone. You can't. You're not allowed to call.
He blocked
out.
me.
Yeah.
He blocked you to call.
He blocked
out?
my number. I tried texting him.
I thought we were just having a little fun, but man, these guys are all.
It's all good.
I mean, they're all serious. And,
I hope the listeners know everybody is really friends.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Everybody respects each other. Everybody's really friends.
They're going to take this to the point of just, and I don't want to hear that again, dude. Honestly, Beef. I mean, seriously, bro.
Well, that's not me.
I don't know who it is. Let's do WTF.
Let's go.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm not,
Is that better?
My point is I don't want
Thank you,
to
friend.
keep this going back and forth. I mean, what did we do to hurt their feelings? I mean, because they're being like pointed and serious, and we're being playful and joking, and those two things aren't going to mix. So whoever's feelings that we hurt by some off the cuff joke, we apologize. You guys have a great show today.
Not me.
Today,
I'm not apologizing. They can go straight to hockey sticks.
Yeah,
let's play.
Yeah, I'm not. Well, the apologies just for the unknown.
As always, we encourage the Googans to give their takes on the
mean-spirited things were said to Lauren.
Text line driven by Duval Ford, 641-1010. One lucky Googan will get a floral delivery from Kuhn Flowers and some airport parking from our friends at usapark.net. My question to you guys is,
sir.
We obviously have been high on the Jags, and it seems like as we get closer and closer to the preseason and the regular season, the people around the country are getting more and more high on the Jags. Most recently, NFL.com released their power rankings, and they have the Jags number 2, trailing only the Philadelphia Eagles in the power poll of all the NFL teams. Number 2.
Wow. That is fantastic. That means Jags-Eagles in Atlanta. I can't wait. So, look, it's great. I mean, I'd rather be number 2 than how many years in a row were we number 28?
It was a while.
I mean,
it was a good stretch.
It was forever where we're starting a season with expectations. We haven't had expectations around here in a long – because last year was kind of we exceeded expectations. And probably the last time there was any kind of hope was, in the 5, 6, 7 era, 5, 06, 07 when we made a couple of playoff appearances. And
no one was really like, wow, this is our year then even. I just look, if power rankings to me are worthless. I mean, that's great. I'm glad they put them there.
Mm-hmm.
If there were a true power rank, was a BCS, it'd be a silly place to put a team that hasn't proven itself yet. But they're fun. The power poll is, it changes every week. It's called the standings. So there's no BCS. There's no voting. It'll play out on the field. That's the beauty of the NFL. If you want to put them second, that's fine. If you put them 4th or 5th, that's fine too. I mean, I imagine I can look at this power poll and find you a potential Super Bowl champion outside the top 10. So, it's nice to get a little bit of respect. And it just shows that not everyone thinks that that the Jaguars are bound to, retreat a little bit.
all right, so
the question's all about Blake.
I'm looking forward to next week when the Jaguars go up against the Vikings defense.
Those are always good.
Physical.
All right,
it's all about Bortles. The people who downplay the Jags don't believe in Bortles, and the people that don't downplay the Jags believe because they saw with Bortles last year this team almost get to the Super Bowl.
Look, one other news item that begs you guys to comment on it, even though it was an obvious result in a obvious chapter in a obvious situation. Yesterday, the news came down that your dear friend Antonio Callaway
stay off the weed.
Right.
Was stopped at a traffic stop over the weekend, marijuana possession, driving on a suspended license, and did not report it to the team after the fact.
All right, before we get to Callaway, Jeff said something I wanted to see.
Yes.
He said he could find a team outside the top 10.
And I could argue could be in Super Bowl.
The Chargers would be one of them. Could the Texans, would you argue them? Would you argue the Niners, the Ravens, the Lions?
The Niners are arguable.
Okay. The Chiefs.
Chiefs are arguable.
Cowboys or Giants.
Arguable, both.
Yeah. I guess you could argue.
I don't think the Eagles were in the top 10 of the power rankings this time last year.
Also a good question.
I doubt very seriously that.
It's amazing how many people don't like the Colts.
Well, why? It's not amazing.
Well, I think Andrew Luck changes everything. A healthy Andrew Luck, to me, I don't care who they got.
Their defense
I
is
do.
terrible.
Yeah.
Their running game is the worst in the league by a zillion years. Their offensive line is no good, and they have T.Y. Hilton and no one else at receiver. So, yeah, Andrew Luck can play all year. They may go 4-12.
Wow.
I think.
I just don't understand why people are picking me to be last in the NFL. I'm not that bad. I'm looking forward to coming back, though, and playing and talking to the captain.
I found the 2017 preseason
It's so
power poll
weird, man.
from the
That's
NFL.
so weird.
The Eagles were 20th.
20th last year.
20th, okay.
So,
well, that's a great thing about the NFL.
you're right.
Because they
That's
didn't know
why-
about Carson Wentz.
Listen,
fully.
that's the difference between
Who's
the
20th
NFL
this year?
and any other sport.
Just out of curiosity, who's
Yeah.
20th?
20th is
That's where the champion came last year.
the Oakland Raiders.
Now, the Raiders could
Yeah,
win the
you
Super
could argue
Bowl,
that.
right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. They were a playoff team 2 years ago. They had injury issues. There are so many incredibly intriguing storylines in the NFL. It's great. We could do 10 shows in a row just talking about issues with teams and
And John
personnel.
Gruden's going to be fascinating to watch this season.
Yes, always.
Comes in at a good time.
I wish he was on Hard Knocks.
When they are believing,
yeah.
when the belief is that the best team is quarterbacked by a 37-year-old player on a team that has no, postseason legacy, then the door's open. I mean, the Broncos and Chiefs compared to what they are down. So if Gruden's going to bounce the Raiders back quickly, it would seem to be made for that.
All right, now you mentioned Hard Knocks and Cleveland, and that next week we'll learn about the inside story with Antonio Callaway, but
Fun times in Cleveland today. Cleveland.
there's no other way to say it other than he's a dumb who clearly is. Now, I love the excuse. That's a veteran excuse right there. That's a 10-year veteran move when Antonio suggests that he just had the car brought up from Florida and he doesn't know who's been driving it.
Others have been driving it.
Well, it's real
and
simple.
So it's
We say-
others, sweet
Yeah,
stinky.
well-
So how about, Antonio, here's a suggestion. Maybe you should hang out with those others because that suggests that while you're in Florida, you're hanging out with a lot of friends and family who like the sweet stinky,
No one believes
and you're
that.
staying away
That's
from it.
beyond stupid.
I've never
So-
lent my car to someone who's in another state.
Another
either.
factor, Antonio, as Junibug always taught me, nothing good happens after midnight.
2:30 in the morning,
2:59 a.m. is awful late to be out and about.
Well,
It
it's
makes
training
time, Dan.
camp. This is the main part of the year
And
where
listen,
you're supposed to be locked in.
I'll even let it slide that you're driving with a suspended license because, I mean, that doesn't surprise me in the least.
Well, that's
but
dumb, too.
It's also not acceptable in the real world. That's not,
To be honest with you, the Browns should do themselves a bit, and I'm very rarely this reactive. The Browns should cut Antonio Callaway today and go on to to at least an option that you can count on. Antonio Callaway will kill you because just when he gets good enough that you rely on him, he'll deconstruct.
Well, the good news is he was not a first-round pick. They traded up to get him in the 4th round, but and there's no denying his talent. And look, he probably fared well enough that he had moved his way up to a starter role.
Well, they just traded Coleman probably because of how Callaway had been playing.
What's amazing about the Cleveland Browns, and here we are again, where 3 weeks ago we were lauding their receiving core.
Right, it looked great.
And we're talking about, Jarvis Landry and all the money, and is he worth it as a slot receiver? But he has 400 catches in 4 years, and
Josh Gordon.
what kind of player is he going to be? And Josh Gordon is uncoverable when he's playing in the NFL. The problem is, of the last 48 games that the Cleveland Browns have played, he's missed 43 of them. So,
He's there, Justin Blackman.
yeah.
At least he keeps trying. At least he sounds like
Yeah.
he wants to play football.
Yeah.
There's only one way.
And then they trade Coleman, a first-round pick, and instead of again, it's slowly immersing back to Cleveland. You thought maybe, okay, new GM, and now it's starting to kind of slowly sink back because the storylines start to come up. The Browns no longer have anybody, any of their first-round picks on the roster between this
2009 and
and if you go and look at the guys that they didn't draft right after, you go, oh my gosh, what were you
There's
thinking?
only one way that Antonio Callaway is going to have a long, productive NFL career, and this is not a joke.
Okay.
The only way that Antonio Callaway has a unblemished long career
Yes.
is if suddenly marijuana is made legal in every state. That's the only way. The only option, the only route for Antonio Callaway to stay active in the NFL is if marijuana becomes legal.
But even then, the NFL would have to make it
Yeah,
legal.
well, the NFL cannot. If marijuana is legal, they can't test for marijuana. That's just silly. That'd be like testing for alcohol. You can't. Yeah. By the way, this just in, how many All-Pros last year smoke weed? I mean, come on. The problem is if you're Antonio Callaway, you get into trouble with it legally and otherwise, then it's an even bigger burden. So we'll see about, by the way, here's another thing that's terrible for the pot smokers. It stays in you longer than anything else you use.
The year that the Browns, and again, we can do this with any team, but allow me to humor you. The year that the Browns drafted Justin Gilbert, that
traded
corner
up
from
right?
Okie State, with the 8th pick overall.
Yeah.
They passed on right after them.
Yeah.
At 11, 12, and 13, Taylor Lewan, Odell Beckham, or Aaron Donald.
Yeah.
Oof.
Any one of those three.
Yeah.
Any one of
It's
those
like
three.
they said, they've been terrible drafters. They've been
Not to
they've been
mention
awful.
Ryan Shazier was after him, Zach Martin was after him, C.J. Mosley was after him, Brandon Cooks was after him. But thankfully, when they came up again, they took Johnny Manziel.
Ugh.
We're gonna light this league up.
Instead of Jason Verrett, who's tore his ACL recently with the Chargers, but he went 25th. They would have been better off taking him 8th, quite honestly. So what a disaster! Boy.
And I don't know if I like Baker. I was really high on Baker Mayfield before the draft, but after watching last night, I
What
don't
bothered
know.
you about him?
His arrogance
Yeah.
as a rookie. Remember that other
You gotta
rookie?
you gotta have that, but he does come off. He does come off a little like,
Like I've already proven myself.
I don't know. That's not the word, but there's something about him that bothers you.
He's a confident guy.
Yeah,
He's confident.
Yeah.
He believes
he better
live
be,
up to being
and
the
he
number
better be
one.
good.
And he made some plays. I mean, they were complimenting him during the workouts last night.
There was a rookie, the 4th string quarterback, Rogan, somebody, I'd never heard of him. And they showed how he had to set up the whole RV. And Baker was like, you didn't do it right. I'm like, wait, you're a rookie too, Baker.
Yeah.
You don't have any ground to stand on. I don't know.
Except he bought it.
Well,
Well, yeah.
So
when he told to buy it,
yeah. Made to rent it or whatever he did to it. I didn't get that far. I watched about the first 40 minutes. And
do you feel better or worse
I
about
won't watch anymore. It's no good.
Do you
It's
feel
just
better or
nothing
worse
good.
about the Cleveland Browns right now?
I feel the same. I don't
same?
feel worse. Well, I feel
6
worse.
and 10.
You talking about hard knocks or because of what's happened?
What's happened? Do you think
I
they'll
feel
be
worse
Do you
about
think they'll be 6 and 10 or worse?
Worse. Yeah.
Worse.
I think they're 6 and 10 if they play great, Dan. That schedule is terrible, dude.
Yeah.
I don't think Hugh Jackson has what it takes to be a head coach in the NFL.
He had a good year with the Raiders. It's straight. This is definitely it.
He's
No
in a
more
tough-
excuses.
He's in a tough spot.
Yeah, it's
man.
just awful.
He's not
All
solid.
right.
He's in a tough spot.
This is the drill. We'll make the turn for the 8 o'clock hour. Coming up, we'll see what's trending. We also have Brunch with the Tour, the final golf major of the year is on the schedule this week. So all that and more here on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
The 1010XL studios are kept clean by Republic Services. We'll handle it from here.
You demanded more of us. You demanded perfection. But we have won every single game we have played.